Hello and welcome to another episode of The Brothers Discuss. I'm Alex,
And I'm Chris.
and we got a lot to talk about today. A Comic-Con has happened, so let's get to it. But before we do that, I feel like we should probably talk about some trailers that have popped up that were not shown at Comic-Con. But the big one, of course, is Oppenheimer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so we here at the Brothers Discuss are Chris Nolan fanboys. I guess that's an outdated term. We're Chris Nolan stans with the pink filters of him being serious with the occasional smirk. Kind of like the MTV Movie Awards. Actually, if you don't know that, everybody, it's a GIF basically, but look up Chris Nolan at the MTV Movie Awards, and it's him standing in the crowd while Eminem, I believe, was performing Lose Yourself, and right in front of him is Brittany Murphy, who's in 8 Mile, and she's got her middle fingers up and jamming, and everyone is bopping along, and there's just Chris Nolan, long black coat, just standing there watching. It's beautiful. But yes, Oppenheimer. This is the movie about the development of the atomic bomb during World War II. This is the Cillian Murphy vehicle. So, the big question remains, will this go the route of Dunkirk or Inception and the Dark Knight films? Will he wear a burlap sack on his head?
No, Oppenheimer looks great. Yeah, it's a quick little teaser, which Christopher Nolan does great. I don't really watch trailers for Nolan movies outside of his quick little teasers. So I always go into each movie just not knowing that much outside the basic premise.
Yeah.
But I mean, it looks great, just cinematically. And looks like he's going back to the style of his older films, and Cillian Murphy is such a great actor, and I'm excited to see him have a lead role in this movie.
Yeah, and he does have a hell of a hat, though. It's very
Yeah.
But the reason I bring up this teaser is that the Chris Nolan teaser is sort of a lost art form, I dare say. We don't get teaser trailers like this anymore, and I love teasers like this.
Right.
And I don't mean to sound like an old man when I say they don't make them like they used to, but they don't make a lot of marketing like this. And obviously, we have a lot of trailers to discuss later, but this was one of those that I sat there. I watched it on my laptop the way it was not meant to be viewed. I can't wait. And it comes out, at least in America, Oppenheimer and Barbie are released on the same day.
Whoa.
That's going to be a fun day. Fun little feature day.
But yeah, I mean, most movie trailers, if you look at a trailer for Sony, where they kind of just give away the whole movie. They did this recently with Bullet Train. I haven't seen Bullet Train yet, but literally the trailer kind of gives away the ending, and it's so I mean, that's just Sony. They're just kind of the worst, but yeah.
Yeah, and we are starting to reach the end of the year where the onslaught of this isn't maybe a fair term to use, but the award season films are about to come out. We're a month or a couple of months away from the Toronto Film Festival and the Venice Film Festival, where a lot of these films debut, like Darren Aronofsky's film The Whale with Brendan Fraser. I like to see that. He hasn't made a movie in a while, but he hasn't grabbed audiences since The Wrestler or Black Swan did. So I'm hoping this is it. And everyone wants Brendan Fraser to succeed, so that's nice. And then Noah Baumbach also has a film coming out called White Noise. It stars Adam Driver, where he does Hitler studies. I don't know how that's going to work. And a film I'm looking forward to, The Son, that's S-O-N, starring Hugh Jackman and Laura Dern. It's Florian Zeller's new film. He directed The Father, which I loved. In fact, it was my favorite film of 2020. It's the Anthony Hopkins film he won Best Actor for. But he wrote the play The Father, and he also wrote and directed the film adaptation, and I believe the same is the case for The Son. And obviously their titles are similar, but I don't think they're connected. Anthony Hopkins is in the movie as well, but he doesn't have a character listed. He's just in the cast. But anyways, Sam Mendes has a film coming out. There's that Marilyn Monroe film with Ana de Armas. There's a bunch of movies that are coming out that I'm looking forward to. And it feels like we're in kind of a quiet period right now.
Right, yeah.
But now it's the main event. San Diego Comic-Con. It's back after a few years of not being here. Obviously, the last one was back in 2019. Then the pandemic happened. We haven't had one since. But now it's back. Did you follow the Comic-Con news? Was it something you checked daily?
Kind of, not really. Like, I would occasionally, like, flip through, like, some DC stuff that was coming out. And, when, like, all the Marvel announcements happened, like, I was at work, and, like, the only thing I saw before my shift ended was that, oh, there's 2 Avenger movies that are coming out the same year. And I'm like, okay. And now I don't know what to expect. And then, like, I saw the bombardment of, like, everything. Like, 18 episodes of Daredevil, and it's
Yeah.
Lots going on.
But I actually did follow the Comic-Con news as it was happening. It was sad. Obviously, we follow the MCU, we follow comic movies, but we obviously talk about a lot of other movies like we just did. And it's funny to sit there and watch on my phone during the Marvel Studios panel and seeing the news and feeling like it's an addiction. This is sad.
Yeah.
But Comic-Con, I remember it's always been like, I guess, a nerd's dream. Like, I guess as a younger person, I always wanted to go, but an experience like Nerdvana or whatever dumb crap that people called it. But as I got older, that feeling started to fade. Where it's like, it's too crowded. I can watch all this news on my phone.
Right.
But for whatever reason, this year I kind of wish I went this year. For whatever reason, like seeing people be like, "Yes, I'm going back," and get a chance to meet all these people and talk to people. Like it seemed like a nice event. And just seeing all of the sorts of things that were unveiled there, it just seems great. Like Smiling Friends go to Brazil, for instance. Right?
Yeah.
That's something they're doing, and I want to talk about that real quick. Smiling Friends is awesome. It's the only adult animated show that I actively watch now. I'm excited to see what they do because those guys are great. So I have here, not everything got a trailer, but I have here an article that lists every trailer that was released. There's Dungeons and Dragons, Honor Among Thieves, John Wick Chapter 4, Shazam, Fury of the Gods, Black Adam, I Am Groot, Rings of Power, that's the Lord of the Rings show on Amazon, National Treasure, Edge of History. I think that might be the only one I haven't seen, and believe it or not, I actually watched all the trailers. There was a YouTube video that had all the trailers. It was like 30 or 40 minutes, and I did my homework.
Wow.
Yes. So there's Teen Wolf the movie, as in based on the MTV show. It's getting a movie. Okay. Marvel's Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. It's an animated Disney Channel show. And I think the final season of The Walking Dead got a trailer, season 12 or something like that. There's Interview with a Vampire. That was the worst trailer that I watched. It's going to be a show on AMC, How the Mighty Have Fallen. The Sandman, which is on Netflix. She-Hulk, Attorney at Law. And Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. Those were the teasers that we got. And there's no order to this, but I'll speak briefly on John Wick 4, because I like the John Wicks, and this looks like more John Wick fun. And there's a lot of good actors in it, and it feels like it's been a long time since we've had a John Wick film, because it is. And I'm excited to see where this goes, because the third film kind of ends on a bit of a cliffhanger. And this looks like it takes place a little bit after the third film, whereas the first 3 films kind of take place like within a week or something like that. Like this looks like it takes place like a little bit after that, so I'm just really intrigued by what they're going to do. And Keanu Reeves is a madman, and I'm excited to see him.
I got nothing much to say. I've never seen a John Wick movie, so...
They're really good action films. The funny joke is that each one is not as good as the one before, but the first one is the best, and it doesn't really need to be a franchise, but they are just really good action films, so they are worth checking out.
Okay.
Let's talk about... Isn't it kind of weird that Shazam and Black Adam are the headliners for DC? in terms of what they have to promote.
It definitely feels like, especially with Black Adam, because there's a lot of like more, somewhat iconic DC characters in there, and it's like this is like the franchise's like saving grace is on the shoulders of Shazam.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not complaining because Shazam's great, and I'm really excited for Shazam 2.
Yeah, let's talk about that Shazam trailer. Any thoughts on that?
Just that it's, more like really corny, fun DC stuff. It's like projects like that, actually genuinely get me excited.
Mm-hmm.
And DC is like kind of weird for me right now. It's like I have a love-hate relationship with it. It's you don't know what to expect with DC, whereas like with Marvel, it's like you kind of the formula by now. This thing's been going on for over 10 years, and it's like you know what to expect with every single one of the Marvel projects.
Mm-hmm.
DC, it's like very hit or miss. It's like when it hits, it's really good. You get something like Shazam or Joker or the Suicide Squad, and it's like it's genuinely like quality, really fun, really new and different. So I'm excited for Shazam. We got a little bit of information. This wasn't Comic-Con, but we got stuff on the Joker sequel.
That's right.
Yeah, it's like I'm excited for that stuff more than I am for like any of the upcoming Marvel stuff, or most of it really, but yeah.
Yeah, and in Shazam, too, he makes a joke about Fast and Furious and how it's about family, which I'm sick of that joke, but what is amusing is that Helen Mirren is in the Fast and Furious movies, but I'm excited for Shazam, too. I pretty much agree with everything you said, so I don't have much to add. Let's move on to Black Adam. His main arch nemesis is getting his own movie. I wonder why. Black Adam feels like it's Dwayne Johnson's vanity project, but he showed up in costume at Comic-Con, and the last time I feel something like that had a big impact besides like the Ravagers in costume for Guardians 2. But the one I think about is, and I think it was the same year, was Andrew Garfield was dressed as Spider-Man, and Tom Hiddleston dressed up as Loki. And it's like, yeah, it's Spider-Man and Loki. Black Adam? Who's that? It just felt funny to me. Like, Dwayne Johnson showed up in costume, and yeah, it's Dwayne Johnson in costume. It's not like it's Spider-Man or Loki. It just felt funny to me because that's what this movie feels like. It's the Dwayne Johnson superhero vehicle movie. So, yeah. Have you heard anyone talk about this movie?
No.
I haven't either. Like, no one in my life is talking about this movie, and it's bizarre. I have a feeling this movie is going to bomb because it's Black Adam. Like, how do you describe Black Adam if you don't know the character? Like, I don't know how to describe him.
No, yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, like the Marvel films, you can almost make the argument of a Doctor Strange, Shang-Chi. Who are these dorks? Well, they are part of an already established famous franchise that people are already invested in. And the big joke people have had for years now is, look at the unstable nature of this DC cinematic universe, the DCEU. Like, the trailer doesn't do a good job explaining his deal at all. He's a villain, and, like, is the movie going to make him, like, an anti-hero in, like, a Venom situation? Like, you know they're going to lead to Shazam versus Black Adam. Like, that's the movie they're gonna tease at the end of both of these for sure. But is anyone going to actually care? Like, it's not like Shazam made a ton of money. Like, the funny thing about the trailer is that it felt the need to recap the first movie because it came out right before Avengers Endgame. So it's not like it made a lot of money. It made enough money to get a sequel, but I don't know. Like, this is, like, this Black Adam stuff is just very funny to me because, again, it's Black Adam. Why is he getting a movie? Because The Rock wants him to. That's all. Like, apparently he chose this role. Like, he was looking, apparently he looked at like what he was being fan cast as, and I'm sure some people were fan casting him as Superman at some point, but he can't do that, so I guess he chose this instead.
No, he chose Crypto.
Like, I think that's right. I think when the trailer came out, he did some Instagram video where he's shirtless in his gym or something, and he looks really pale. And he's like, Black Adam, his main power is magic. And what's Superman's one weakness? Magic. And so that's all you need to know. And I'm going, kryptonite! But maybe he didn't even look up what he was being fan cast as. Maybe he looked up who can defeat Superman.
I guess.
Yeah, and something else we should talk about with this DC panel is there were a lot of rumors leading up to it that they were going to announce a Henry Cavill Superman project, which they of course did not. But maybe we'll get Shazam versus Black Adam versus Superman as a silly popcorn superhero action movie. I'd be fine with it.
For sure.
This is another topic entirely, I guess, but there's been a lot of talk about turning off your brain, like what that actually means when you're watching a movie. I like being engaged in a movie, so turning off my brain is such a weird concept to me, but you know what you're getting into when you see Shazam versus Black Adam versus Superman. Like, but this idea of, like, stop being so critical and turn off your brain, it's such a strange idea to me. But anyway, it's still it's Black Adam. I don't care about Black Adam.
Yeah.
As far as the comics go, Jim Lee. Can we talk about Jim Lee for a little bit?
Go ahead.
All right, so it seems like more and more businessmen are heads of these big companies now, as opposed to people who rose through the ranks, like actually doing the work that the company does. But Jim Lee is a good example of someone who, yeah, he's a comic book artist, but now he's one of the figureheads at DC. Like, it's pretty crazy. But he pretty much said that they're not going to focus on the Snyderverse stuff anymore. Like, they're going to, obviously they'll still use those characters, but they're going to, like, move away from the Snyderverse stuff and do their own thing, which frankly, I'm glad they're doing.
Yeah.
So hopefully those Snyderverse bots will die.
No, that will never happen. They'll never get anything anymore. They got their Snyder cut, and that's as much Warner Brothers will do for them.
But something comic-wise that I'm excited for, I mean, I say comic book, but it's connected to the movies, is the Paul Dano Riddler Year One comic. We got our first look at the comic, so I'm excited to get that. It comes out. And I guess this came out after Comic-Con, but we got confirmation that Ben Affleck is going to be in Aquaman 2.
Okay.
And then we also got the news, this obviously was not going to be announced for Comic-Con, but recently, Batgirl is being canceled, despite being nearly finished. So, that's dumb.
Yeah. Poor Michael Keaton.
Yeah, imagine being Michael Keaton and, deciding to return to a character you left behind like 30 years ago now. And then your movie gets canceled, and then The Flash is being, like, delayed, like, into oblivion.
That movie is going to be a mess if we ever get to see it. But, then again, it's like we never thought New Mutants was going to happen, and sure proved us wrong.
Yeah. Let's talk about I Am Groot. It's out now. It came out today, at least the first short. But I don't think it's, like, meant to be, like, canon to the MCU, I guess.
I saw that James Gunn was, like, doing a Q&A on Instagram, and someone asked if, like, it's canon. James Gunn says he doesn't think it's canon, but, the higher-ups at Marvel do say it's canon.
Yeah, like, James Gunn just kind of views it as, like, fun Baby Groot, like, fodder.
Yeah.
Just don't think about it too much. But then, yeah, like you were saying, I saw some articles saying, like, where I Am Groot takes place in the timeline. It's like, what? Come on.
Yeah.
But it's Baby Groot. It's the original Baby Yoda. I mean, technically the original Baby Yoda is Gizmo, but nevertheless. There's nothing to discuss about Baby Groot. I said it as a joke, but it looks silly and fun. In terms of where it lines up on the timeline, like, I noticed they didn't list the Guardians Holiday Special on their big Phase 4 thing, so not that they don't count them, but they're like extensions, I guess, of the MCU. It's not like you must watch them to understand what happens next. It's fine. The animation looks pretty identical to Guardians 2, so it does look nice.
Right, yeah.
Those poor animators. I guess that's the real story.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what? I'm glad that they're starting to come out and tell their story. So hopefully it just leads to some change. I just feel bad now for like whenever there's a new trailer that comes out and people are like the CGI looks bad and someone has to sit back on their computer and go, well, that's because I didn't get a lunch break.
Yeah.
So it sucks. So I mean, what came first for Marvel was the animation thing. So the Spider-Man freshman year show. Any thoughts there?
All I know really is just the premise. Yeah, I'd love to see a new Norman Osborn, but I need to see how this works out first. It sounds interesting. Compared to recent Spider-Man shows, this is more interesting than that. I'll say that, but
Yeah, it's weird. Like when we first heard the news about this show, like it seemed like it was going to be like the animated adventures of Spider-Man before Civil War.
right.
But now that we got our first look at it, it looks like it's just attempt number 2 at MCU Spider-Man. Like there's no way that it's like connected to the MCU because you've got Norman Osborn in place of Tony Stark. Like it's like a recreation of that shot from Civil War of Tony and Aunt May in the apartment, but it's Norman Osborn instead. So the idea is that he's going to be the mentor character in that show. But when that happened, like my ears perked up, like Norman, like oh my god, Norman! But then you've got like Spider-Man characters, like proper Spider-Man characters like Doc Ock and Scorpion. Like there's no way this is connected. Like Scorpion is in Homecoming.
Right, yeah.
But then you have like Charlie Cox's Daredevil. And Doctor Strange as well.
It's weird, but I guess that's a way of looking at it. This is because it's going to be on Disney Plus, so it's like Disney's version of Tom Holland Spider-Man because Sony's been handling that, yeah.
So I'm definitely a little intrigued with this show. It's been a long time since we've had a good Spider-Man animated series, so I'm hoping this is a good one. I mean, granted, I'd love to see like a proper trailer. I need to see this animation in motion because the only animated thing Marvel Studios have done so far is What If, and I think What If is just mediocre. It's mid, as the kids say. I do like the Doctor Strange episode of What If. I'll just throw that in there.
Yeah.
But then we got X-Men 97. We got our first look at the X-Men team, which, again, was not really a first look. It's the exact same image. They're just standing in front of the school, and Storm has a mohawk now. The school? It can't be. It was a reconfirmation that the team has Cyclops, Wolverine, Rogue, Storm, Gambit, Jubilee, Beast, and Jean. We also got confirmation that Magneto is going to be the leader, which is weird. So how much of X-Men the Animated Series have you watched? I'm curious.
It's been a long time since I've attempted watching. I've never watched it all the way through.
Okay.
But I've probably gone through 3 or 4 episodes, so not much.
Yeah. So the X-Men in the cartoon are different to the comics and the movies in the sense that there's no school. Like, they don't need, a new headmaster or something like that. They are just a group of people that live in a mansion that they call a school. So this group of adults needing, another leader is such a strange concept to me, especially one they fought over and over again and is really unreliable. So why isn't the leader Cyclops? You knew that was coming.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me. The ending of the show, there's the big moment where spoilers, Xavier is, dying at the end of the show. He tells Cyclops he's as proud as any father can be of his son. And to me, the story that should continue is Cyclops is now in Professor Xavier's role. The fact that it's Magneto for some reason in his Trial of Magneto costume from the comics, which is strange. But then there's, conflicting stories about the new team members, that we got confirmation of. Are they going to be members in, an honorary sense, or are they full-time members? It was Cable, Bishop, Nightcrawler, Morph, Forge, and their newest member, Sunspot. I'm surprised by Sunspot. There's no Kitty Pryde, no Iceman, Kitty Pryde was never in the show, and Iceman showed up once. And I just thought they'd utilize some of those characters they either haven't used or really didn't get to use much. And we got our first look at the villains as well. There's Mr. Sinister, of course. There's Sebastian Shaw and Emma Frost, which is interesting. They didn't do a ton with the Hellfire Club. They're really only in the Dark Phoenix saga part of the show. There's Callisto, and there's some lady. It's Val Cooper, who is a government person, so they'll still have the human villain element is what that says to me.
Okay.
Yeah, it's that double-edged sword, like, I'm excited to see these characters that I love again, and, they're messing with something that was fine as is and should be left in the 90s. We'll see.
I mean, it's been, like 25 years, it's like, what, it feels weird, and the strangest thing to me is that this is like directly under Marvel Studios.
Yeah.
I have no idea what that means for the MCU, if this is just like, oh, this is part of the multiverse, but...
Yeah. And again, I'd like to see like a trailer, like some footage in motion, because it's not going to look the same, and it's definitely not going to sound the same either.
Definitely
like,
not.
Not only is Norm Spencer, the voice actor of Cyclops, not alive anymore, but everyone else is 30 years older. Like, that's going to be very distracting. Like, I would have rather they just make a new X-Men cartoon or do, I don't know, like a sequel to X-Men Evolution.
Right.
So let's talk about the actual MCU. So they announced a lot of stuff. Actually, they didn't announce a lot of stuff. They mostly confirmed a lot of stuff that we already knew and unconfirmed one show.
What's the unconfirmed show?
So I was considering opening this episode by saying, we've lost a lot of people in Hollywood recently. We're very sad, and make that about Armor Wars. Because what the fuck happened to Armor Wars? That just vanished. Boom! You looking for this?
Oh.
No War Machine stories today.
Poor Don Cheadle. Yeah, I mean, unless it's Phase 6, I don't know, because they kind of left Phase 6 pretty obscure outside of the Avengers movies and Fantastic Four.
Yeah. So, first off, they announced that Phase 4 is almost over, so everyone clapped.
Yeah.
But Phase 5 is as follows. Ant-Man the Wasp, Quantumania, February 17th, so it's not that far away. They had a little panel. Apparently they showed some footage. Something that I am happy about is that they brought back the in-house only trailers, and watching the bootleg footage, to me, is a joy. Back to watching bootleg trailers years ago. But I haven't seen any footage from Ant-Man, so I don't know if anyone's actually posted it, but one description that came from it was Scott Lang was going to be distant from his daughter due to the fame of being Ant-Man, and everyone's like, no, don't do that. Scott and Cassie are the thing we like. And that's what separates him from a lot of Marvel characters, is that he's a single dad. And I think what is actually happening is that he finds it harder to connect with her, considering he missed 5 years of her life.
Right.
And of course, everyone is talking about how they recast the actress, which is a shame, because I was thinking, so they would have made Ant-Man the Wasp in 2017. It was released in 2018. It is now 2022. How many years is that, Chris?
That's 5 years, so...
It's 5 years. They can use the actress from the first two now.
Yeah.
No, they're not. Maybe there's a time jump. Maybe it takes place longer after Endgame. But it got me thinking, like, oh, the actress is age appropriate now, like little Cassie.
Yeah.
And Catherine Newton is a fine actress. Nothing against her, but I couldn't help but think, like, oh, you didn't need to do that. Oh, and MODOK is confirmed as well, and as well as Kane, of course. So we have Secret Invasion, a show on Disney Plus, which we just have as spring 2023, and Kobe Smulders is back again. Thank God. Any thoughts on Secret Invasion?
I mean, read a couple books from the New Avengers line on Secret Invasion. I like Secret Invasion. I think you can do some pretty interesting cinematic things with it. I just don't screw it up, I guess.
I guess with the Skrulls, they already changed the roles around in Captain Marvel, which is one of the things I actually appreciate about that movie.
Right.
But who cares? It's Secret Invasion. Let's talk about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
So I did see like a little snippet of the trailer. I haven't seen the full trailer, but yeah, I tried to look through the bootleg world, and all I could find was like 6 seconds of it. But I mean, just from how like James Gunn and all the actors like describe this movie, like it's definitely movie-wise like the biggest thing I'm looking forward to out of all the movies that have been announced.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I mean, there's another movie that we'll talk about later that I'm also genuinely excited for as well. But this is the end of this Guardians chapter. It's kind of a big deal because the first Guardians movie, anyway, it was kind of Marvel's first example of like we can make a movie out of anything and make it work.
Yeah.
So to see like this like almost like a decade in the making, like it's kind of a big deal. And we got some confirmation of some characters, including someone that I like, Cosmo the dog, who was voiced by the actress that was Borat's daughter.
Okay.
Which I guess it stir up some minor controversies from some fans because Cosmo in the comics is a male dog. Even though like Cosmo is based on the actual an actual Russian dog that was sent to space, but that was a female dog, so who cares?
Yeah.
But what I am talking about is the High Evolutionary, who I'm actually talking about. He's back, baby, for the first time. It's the actor that, I should have learned these actors' names. It's the actor that was like the main handler guy in Peacemaker. But for those that don't know, the High Evolutionary is this villain who does these weird experiments on people. And from what we hear, it sounds like this movie is going to be a very rocket-heavy film. Like, we're going to get his origin, possibly his end. Who knows?
Yeah.
But the footage that I've seen as well, I've seen footage of Gamora. And if there's one thing I don't like about Endgame, is that I don't like how the reunion of Peter and Gamora is handled like a joke, where she just kicks him in the nuts.
Yeah. That's
all we really get. But from the footage that we see, it looks like Gamora is leading the Ravagers now. And then when Peter gets a look at Gamora, it's oh man, I'm getting emotional just thinking about it, because I haven't really talked about this publicly, but my biggest fear in the world is either me losing my memory of people or people losing their memory of me. And to see that, there could be some really good stories to tell with that.
Yeah.
Because, if the notion of someone losing your memory of someone of you, and there's no guarantee that you'll ever get that same love back. It's heartbreaking. It genuinely is. So, I'm definitely looking forward to that. And also Adam Warlock is going to be in this. He's been teased that for a while now.
Yeah.
There's that. So I'm excited to see this final chapter.
For sure, yeah. And I mean, I'm just on board because even though they're not perfect movies, the Guardians movies, but they're just a really, really great side gig for Marvel, and just really great films of James Gunn. And I don't love when the Guardians are just connected to the rest of the MCU, especially in Love and Thunder. But so I'm excited to just see more solo work from the Guardians.
Yeah, I agree. But then Echo was reconfirmed. We knew this was happening already, but that's summer 2023. Loki Season 2 is also summer 2023. The Marvels, which is a movie, it's July 28th currently, 2023. Blade is November 3rd. We finally got confirmation of Blade. This should have been an October movie. They missed their opportunity. Now it's a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
It's weird. But there's no other news about that movie, really, so we'll see. I like the actor they have, so yeah, we'll see. Ironheart is fall 2023. Ironheart is going to be in Black Panther, so we got our first look of the actress in the role from that trailer, which we'll discuss later. So that's a show. Agatha, Coven of Chaos, which is its new name, is this is great. Winter 2023/24. And one of the actual big stories that we got here, spring 2024, is Daredevil Born Again, which is 18 episodes, which is more than they do for the Disney Plus shows, obviously, but it's also more than we have for any one of the Netflix seasons.
Yeah.
It's Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio. It's Daredevil. I can't say that I'm excited to see the MCU take on Daredevil, but knowing that it's not going to be a rushed 6-episode mess is very comforting.
That is comforting. I just hope it's not 18 hours of nothing. Like, I that's my biggest fear, because my biggest problem with most of these shows so far is that they feel like 2-hour movies stretched to be 6 hours. They don't feel like 6-hour movies. They feel very stretched out and bloated, more than they really need to be, with the exception of, like, WandaVision and What If, because those actually take advantage of being shows. But the rest of them kind of have that really big problem. I'm excited for Daredevil, but I'm also like, I'm not like, there is the part of my head that's just like, what Marvel has done with shows so far. It hasn't been the best, and I still need to watch season 3 of Daredevil, because I'm trying to watch all the Netflix stuff, like, in which they came out, but Luke Cage is such a snooze fest that I don't know if I can do it. But but Daredevil season 1 and, even the beginning of season 2 is like, they're just genuinely, like, fantastic shows. And I'm excited for this, and, you got Charlie Cox, you got Vincent D'Onofrio. I heard there's a rumor that the actor for Punisher is coming back. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't surprise me, and I'm excited for it, but I think they're playing it pretty smart. They kind of, like, tested what they can do show-wise with Marvel with these early projects. Now that, we're a couple of years into Marvel making shows, they're kind of more used to, like, the formula about it. Because I don't know how true this is for all the shows, but I'm pretty certain Hawkeye was supposed to be a movie at one point. And then that got repurposed as a show, and that kind of feels right to me. That feels like that's what happened. Again, I don't know if that's the case with all of them, but it feels better now that we're a few years into it. You're designed to be a show now, so I hope that's the case with Daredevil.
Yeah, and we'll talk about the She-Hulk trailer in a bit, but Daredevil shows up at the end of that, and it's not 100% clear, but you can tell that he is wearing elements of his original costume from the comics, with the yellow mask and all that. If we're going to get a Daredevil that's a little different, a little more MCU-ified than the Netflix version, then I'm fine with him showing up in She-Hulk first, like he kind of should, being a lawyer character, but I'm very intrigued by what they do. I like Daredevil. So
he's going to be in Echo as well, I think.
He is.
Yeah.
So then we have Captain America, New World Order, May 3rd, 2024. A Sam Wilson Captain America movie. Yeah.
I'm excited for that.
I'm hoping this tackles more of what Falcon and Winter Soldier sort of started to tackle, which is the world has changed. The world has changed. Like, that in all the trailers. That's even in the Oppenheimer trailer, which I thought was funny. But they're in so many of the Marvel trailers, but the world actually changed when half the universe got snapped. So I've wanted to see the MCU actually deal with the ramifications of that, because
Yeah.
It was so disappointing when Far From Home, like Aunt May was like, "Oh, I was in someone else's apartment," and it was just made into a joke. It's like, did they have somewhere to live? Was it easy to find a new apartment? Like,
Right.
all that stuff was swept under the rug, and the one that really tried to deal with it was Falcon and Winter Soldier. But unfortunately, it was the Flag Smashers, and they were the least interesting thing in the show.
Yeah.
So if we are actually dealing with some more of that, with New World Order being the title, I think that's cool. I might be wishing for something they're not even thinking of doing. But it just makes sense since they started doing that in Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
So I guess that brings us to one of the films they actually announced, which was Thunderbolts. So if you don't know what the Thunderbolts are, they're essentially like the Suicide Squad. It's probably the easiest comparison. So, I mean, lots of people are throwing out names who could be in there, like U.S. Agent or Zemo, Yelena, Taskmaster, or Ghost. I've heard people say as well.
Yeah. You can't get...
And Bucky. Bucky would be kind of a good member, I would say.
Yeah, I think so.
But if it means we get more John Walker, I'm all for that, because I like that character.
For sure, yeah. He was one of the highlights for Falcon and Winter Soldier. But you can't get General Ross anymore.
No, you can't. It's the name Thunderbolts.
Yeah.
But I think it's very easy to assume that John Walker will be in it because I assume people who are working for Julia Louis-Dreyfus' character will be showing up in this. So that's John Walker and Yelena. And
so far, yeah.
I'd like to see Red Guardian in there. Like, I really like that character in Black Widow. And Ghost I'd actually be cool with because here's someone we introduced and didn't do a whole lot with. She has a little bit of redemption at the end. And there's something you can actually do with that. She's a character you can build off of. A good example to me is when they announced that Agent Wu and Darcy were going to be in WandaVision. I was like, those goofs, why? And they were actually really fun in the show. And
they elevated what is a much, much less interesting subplot.
Mm. Yeah, and I was actually excited when Darcy showed up in Thor: Love and Thunder. Like, I was like, wow, look at the effect WandaVision had on me. Like, I was really happy to see her. I think if you could take some characters that aren't super developed yet, you have at least an interesting concept. I mean, someone like her with this really weird power on this ragtag team of untrustworthy people, I think she's a good fit for that, just power-wise. And I'd be cool with her. She's a good actress as well. She was in Ready Player One. She was trying to murder the kids for Ben Mendelsohn. Maybe Ben Mendelsohn could be in it. He's in Secret Invasion, and that's the one thing that makes me want to watch it because I love Ben Mendelsohn.
Right, yeah.
But then they started announcing, I almost said Season 6. That's basically what it is. Fantastic Four will kick off Phase 6, which was a surprise. They reconfirmed Fantastic Four, but with no cast or director, so who cares? Because it's nothing right now.
Wasn't John Watts directing Fantastic Four?
Not anymore.
Really?
Nope.
Wow.
But that was a big prediction that people had, was that they'd announce the cast at least, or at least the main four, and they didn't. And they didn't even confirm Jim from The Office. And I'm gonna say right now, I don't think he's coming back. If he was coming back, they would have said by now. That's my prediction, is that he's not coming back.
I think he is coming back. I mean, the movie's a few years away, but that does feel weird to just have him in Doctor Strange just as a result of fan casting, of which that is what happened. But, like, if that's all you're doing with it, like, that just feels really, really weird.
Yeah. But then they announced at the beginning of 2025 there will be an Avengers movie, and at the end of 2025 there will be an Avengers movie. The Kang Dynasty, and also Secret Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Any thoughts there?
I'm excited for Kang Dynasty, and I'm kind of excited for Secret Wars, but I'm much more excited for Kang Dynasty. Because I love Kang. He's one of my favorite Avengers, probably my favorite Avengers villain, actually. And I'm really curious to see how the MCU handles like actual Kang, not the weird one in Loki. And you can do some like really great stuff with him if this is like the Infinity War Endgame approach, and then like Kang Dynasty. Well, Secret Invasion's more Doctor Doom, isn't it?
It is, yes.
Okay, that's weird, but okay. That's weird that you're getting both of those like the same year.
Yeah. So Secret Wars is like much like titles like Civil War or Secret Invasion or Age of Ultron. These are just titles. They may not like adapt the actual storyline they're doing like verbatim. Like I know Kang Dynasty is the name of an Avengers storyline, and Secret Wars is based on two different events. There's the one from the 80s and there's one from 2015. The one from the 80s was primarily an excuse to sell toys. But the one from 2015 was a little more in-depth of a story, but both notably involved Doctor Doom as the villain. But the original 80s one is known for doing one very specific thing. Do you remember what that is?
The origin of the black suit.
You are correct. So, would it surprise you if they actually decided to go that route with doing the black suits?
Not at all. I mean, I think that would actually be kind of, well, they tease that the symbiote's like on Earth right now at the end of No Way Home.
The goo could probably find its way to the battle world.
Okay. But no, that wouldn't surprise me at all.
Because, like, beforehand, it was, like, basically impossible to do that origin, and where it's like, no, it wouldn't make sense. Like, you just put the alien on a spaceship or a meteor, like, he'll get the black suit from there. But now you can actually do it.
Yeah.
But I have a theory that I think Kang Dynasty will end with Kang getting killed by Doctor Doom.
I've been having that feeling too.
And yeah. Doctor Doom will then be the next big bad for Secret Wars.
And that's which again is kind of weird because it's like you're at the tail end of the multiverse saga right there, and it's just like, oh, here's the other villain. But it feels like they're building up Kang, and that's going to be weird if they just kill him off and say it's Doctor Doom now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like, look, we like Marvel, so the idea of 2 Avengers movies in 1 year should be really exciting. But I also can't help but feel like, ooh, I feel the oversaturation it's had. Like, yeah. I just hope it's at least better than releasing 2 Matrix sequels in 1 year. 2 not good Matrix sequels in 1 year. I mean, the idea of doing a Secret Wars movie is fun, and it conjures up imagery in my head that I think a lot of people are expecting a big multiversal war. Like, this is how we can bring in the X-Men and Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire can return. And Ben Affleck's Daredevil. Why not?
Yeah.
I don't think they're doing that. We might get some references, like how we saw the Illuminati and Doctor Strange. We might get stuff like that. But this idea of they're joining all the universes, that's not happening. I really don't think that's happening.
I'm going to disagree with you there because you have to think, this is an Avengers movie, so like they can make it happen. And especially if you're, coming off of the Endgame and you're like trying to like just up everything, that is the way to do it. Not with like just one-off cameos where they all end up dying. I don't know. Do you think Toby and Andrew are coming back though?
I don't know, but if anything, not that I necessarily want this, but what I could easily see them do at the very least with the multiversal stuff is it's a way they'll bring back the original Avengers. Like, they'll bring back Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans. Again, not that I want this, but I think in terms of what's realistically going to happen, I think that's what they'll do. Like, have RDJ and Chris Evans play, like, alternate versions of their characters.
That'd be so weird, though.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm a fan of that idea.
Yeah, we'll see. Anything else on those Avengers movies?
I think that's pretty much it. But, okay. Yeah.
So I guess on that note, we'll talk about what we're finishing Phase 4 with. We got a new trailer for She-Hulk, and I thought this trailer was much better than the first. I'm actually excited for that show, believe it or not. I think it looks real fun. She-Hulk won me over.
I'm not terribly excited for She-Hulk, but that's not because of like what I've seen of the show itself. It's just because of like how Marvel has handled shows lately. I basically, to keep it simply, I liked WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier, and I haven't really liked anything after that. I thought Hawkeye was okay. Outside of that, everything else is kind of just mid to kind of not great, like Miss Marvel and Loki.
I've seen a lot of people share like images of the Incredible Hulk movie and being like and just like and comparing that to like post Endgame Hulk and be like, look how they massacred my boy. Like, if
Watch
this is what they
Hulk.
did, like, if this is what they did as soon as they recast Bruce Banner in the 2012 Avengers, then yeah, you got a reason to maybe be upset. But we got several films of that Hulk, so quit whining.
That's exactly what I'm saying. It's like, I know like people love their angry Hulk, whatever, but it's like it took them a few movies to realize like there's not much you can really do with that. And I don't think Professor Hulk is perfect, but I think it's a nice change of pace at the very least. So my biggest
and hey,
question
Wong's
is,
in it. Wong and Daredevil are in it. Doesn't this make it the best MCU thing coming up?
Anything with Wong is just automatically like +1. It's just.
I'm worried about Wong. I'm actually slightly worried that we're big Wong fans. We love Wong. I'm worried that Wong is going to get a crappy Disney Plus show at some point. Like we've had it good for too long. Like we eating good too much.
Yeah.
I'd say. I hate Zoomer speak, by the way. But I think, I don't know. I think if they gave Wong his own show, could it really be that bad if Benedict Wong is playing Wong? Can they ruin Wong?
I mean, I don't know. It would just be weird. Like, he's such a side character, but, like, just such an iconic side character. It would be weird to see him as, like, a lead role. But he's the Sorcerer Supreme now, so you can do something.
Yeah. Anyway, the thing in the trailer that made me laugh the most was the Book of Vishanti. No, the Book of American Law. And she's got her hands high in the air as if to demonstrate it's a big book.
Yeah.
That made me laugh. And the fourth wall breaking is interesting because I think if you're unfamiliar with She-Hulk doing that in the comics already, like it already conjures up like, oh, it's like Deadpool or it's like Fleabag. And I like Fleabag. I don't like Deadpool so much. But if it's more like Fleabag and you can maybe accuse it of ripping it off a bit, but I'm open to that being a silly sitcom show because it's going to be a sitcom format. It's 30 minutes long, so that's cool.
Yeah.
So I'm open to this silly show taking place in the MCU. Fine.
But how come Hulk isn't angry anymore? We want angry Hulk
because
back.
God forbid we do something different with that character that's been around for 60 fucking years. Let's talk about Black Panther.
I think it looks pretty good.
I think I might like this more than you.
Well, all right. I was iffy on the idea of like making this, without Chadwick Boseman. With the trailer coming out, I am more excited because there is, the doors are opening up to like what you can do. Mm-hmm. I'm still not the biggest I'm still not the biggest fan of the idea of making this movie, but as a tribute to Chadwick Boseman, I think it could work, and I just hope it I doubt it will, but I just hope it doesn't ignore that. I'm sure because that's going to play a big part in the movie. But I mean, I don't know. It's just weird. But I'm kind of excited for it. I'll just say that. I just need to see the movie and just more footage from it.
Yeah. I think visually it's an upgrade from the first film.
Sure.
I mean, look at those trailers for the first film. Like, it's a slightly different color palette, so who knows what could happen.
Right.
I gotta ask, do you care about Namor?
Honestly, not really. I'm not a big Namor guy. So, I mean, I don't really know too much about the character, but that's not the reason, like, I'm excited for the movie at all. Again, it's like the main family and what they're going through and all that, and it's that stuff I'm interested in. Especially the mom, because, like, she's the queen now.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for that kind of stuff.
So, I actually like Namor. I gasped when I realized I was looking at Namor. Like, that shot that transitions from him as a kid to him coming out of the water. Like, I saw the green trunks, and I realized who it was. Like, I forgot that he was in the movie because I wasn't watching along with any kind of panel where they introduced that actor. But yeah, I forgot he was in the movie. So when I saw him, I was like, oh, Namor, the Submariner. I didn't notice the wings in my first viewing of the trailer. That came a little while later because, again, you don't know exactly where that's heading. Like, oh, is this how they do birthing in Wakanda? Like, I thought that's what they were doing at first. But of course, yeah, the elephant in the room is the very real life death of Chadwick Boseman. But I think what we're seeing here is it's very tasteful. It's very tastefully done, in my opinion.
I was really, really worried, and I'm so glad they didn't do this, that they were going to go the Star Wars route and have AI Chadwick Boseman in this movie. I was so worried that was going to happen, and I'm really relieved in the trailer that we didn't see that.
Yeah. And I love that they're being very coy about who the new Black Panther is going to be.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if you're familiar with the comics, all signs point to Shuri. But maybe it could be Lupita Nyong'o instead?
You don't know. I think it's going to be...
Because we don't see much of her in the trailer.
You don't. But I do think it's going to be Shuri.
Yeah.
I feel like that's obvious.
I'm kind of leaning towards Lupita Nyong'o. I mean, she's not anti-vax, so she has my vote.
That's true.
But I think this looks great. We've talked a lot about trailers in this episode, and what makes a trailer great is subjective, obviously, and maybe shouldn't be judged until after a film is released. But that is the point, too. But I'm not exaggerating when I say that I think this is top 2 or 3 best trailers that Marvel Studios have ever released. It's really perfectly edited. The music choice is excellent. The cover of No Woman, No Cry, transitioning into the Kendrick Lamar song, it's really cool. And every chosen shot had a purpose being there. There's no waste of time. The one piece of dialogue that we get in the trailer is Angela Bassett's speech. This really empowered speech about how her family's gone. Like, I love trailers that can show you a bunch of imagery and not really tell you specifics about the plot, but you can still get excited.
Yeah.
The new Mission Impossible trailer is a lot like that. Just observing this as a piece of advertisement, I think it's excellent. But judging this based on what the film looks like is interesting because, like I said, I think visually it is an upgrade. It's a new cinematographer as well, and obviously Ryan Coogler is back. They put his name in the trailer, like they're starting to do that now, so that's nice. Yeah. But I really like his other 2 films a lot, Fruitvale Station and Creed. And the visuals in the first Black Panther are what let the film down.
Yeah.
Especially the CGI in the third act. Shot of T'Challa and Killmonger like fighting as they're free falling is very, very fake looking. In such an otherwise colorful film. And then obviously we don't talk about those rhinos.
Right.
But it's also very flat. But Coogler had such a strong vision for the film world building wise. And having visuals to support that is important. And this looks like it does that, to me, based on what we've seen. And I didn't think this is going to be the thing I'm most excited for coming out of Comic-Con, or for the rest of the year, but it's really up there for me. I can't wait.
Yeah, and again, it's not like I'm not excited at all. Like I am excited for this movie, but there's a lot of curiosity going on, and it's just like how this is all going to work. But I am excited about it for more than a lot of other projects that have been announced.
Yeah,
but
and
for
I know
me, most anticipated movie is Guardians 3, and most anticipated show is Daredevil.
I think, and one more thing on Black Panther, I think, I know people swear when they look at that final shot of Black Panther, they go, oh, like, it's a woman. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, I don't know. It's not 100% clear, and I think that's really, really neat. It's still a secret.
Yeah.
We'll probably get spoiled of it from a Lego set.
Probably.
But Marvel Legends, though. I think Hasbro's gotten better with that.
Yeah.
But I think Black Panther, Guardians 3, those are the movies I'm most excited for. And then Daredevil, I'm excited for. And I'm also looking forward to the Guardians Holiday Special. Is there anything else you want to discuss about Comic-Con?
I think that's it, yeah.
Thank you all so much for listening. Hope you all enjoyed, and we'll see you all next time. Take care, everyone. Bye.